Hello guys and welcome back to the tutorial series of creating your first game in Unreal Engine 5. In today's tutorial you're gonna learn about level creation, materials and handling collision. So at the end of the tutorial series you're gonna have a fully working game with parkour mechanics, AI, sounds and so on. So let's get started. I ended the last video with the player movement. Basically we've set up the jumping system and everything else. Now our level is kinda empty, so let's add some obstacles to our scene. To do that you want to click on this cube with this little plus icon and search for shapes cube. And as you've seen in the last video we can modify this. We can modify its position, its rotation, and its scale. Now you can toggle that by pressing W, E, or R. So I'm gonna move it here, and this kinda looks bland. I mean, the color. We want to change the color, right? I want to create three types of platforms in this video. The green one, which are completely safe to touch. The orange ones, which it depends. It might disable at any point, and the third one, which is red. If you touch that you are dead, you respawn. Alright, so to change that we want to change the material. Right here in the details tab you can see the material. Now if I click on this, because we added started content, we can choose from here some default material. For example, we choose this green one, which fits perfectly for our need. However, we don't have a material for everything we want to create. We are in luck that we found this green one, but I think it's better if we learn how to create one. We go to the content drawer and let's create a new folder to remain organized. I'm gonna call this material. And also let's create a new folder for our blueprint classes, so BP, and drag our player BP here. Good. In the material I'm gonna right click and material. I'm gonna give it a name, a suggestive name, green. Let's create another one, orange, and red. Right, let's open first the green one. And what is this? So let's start with the beginning. This is the view tab. Here you're gonna see how your material looks like on a mesh. You can change the mesh right here. You can put a cylinder, a plane, a cube, or a custom mesh that you have to specify. We can leave a sphere because it's just a color, it's nothing complex. We can leave this as default for now, there's nothing too complicated. And here is the material graph. Here we basically edit our material. We have some options here that are enabled, some are not. It depends what type of material you want to make. Now we want to make a surface material. We don't want a volume or a post process or anything like that. We want to make a surface one which will be applied to objects in the scene. Okay, so drag the base color to a constant vector. Basically this is a color that has RGB values. Double click and from here we can pick our color. So I said green, I'm gonna choose this one. Looks nice. To compile, save with Ctrl S. Green is done. Now to apply the material, just drag it on the object you want to have the material on. I'm gonna do the same thing for orange. Now we can preview the materials if you want to see how they look in the scene. Alright, so let's set up the collision. So when you touch the cube, it's gonna say green. When you touch the orange object, it's gonna say orange. And when you touch the red one, it's gonna say red. Alright, to do that we're gonna use tags. Tags basically can categorize a bunch of different objects into one. To do that you want to click on this cube that we just placed in the level and go to the static mesh component. Search here for tag, and on the component tags you want to click this plus button. I'm gonna say here green. Alright, you want to duplicate it with Ctrl D. Move it here. Good. And change the tag to orange, and also change the material. Nice. We're gonna duplicate it again, Control D. This time red, and also the material. Good. Now if we save and hit play, the objects collide with the player, as you can see, but nothing actually happens except blocking into the obstacles. You want to go into the player blueprint, go to the capsule component. You want to go to the collision tab onto the details while capsule component is selected, and enable simulation generates hit events. Once that is done, you want to scroll down and search for on component hit on the events category. Hit on this plus button and this event appears. Here we have some outputs. We have hit component, which is our component, other actor, which is the other actor that we've collided with, other component is the actual component that we've collided with, and the other ones are useless in most of the cases. So drag the other component and search for component has tag. Here we're gonna specify the tag green, and in return we get a bool value. You need to put it into an if statement. Now this if statement in Blueprint is not called if, it's called branch. So search for branch and connect them. Now if the tag is green, then we're gonna do something. If the tag is not green, we're gonna do something else. So let's suppose that tag is green. In that case, we want to print to the screen that we've collided with the green cube. To do that, you want to print string, and I'm gonna put here the message green. Now keep in mind that this will not show in the final build. Once you export your game, this will show only in the editor for debugging. Okay, compile and save. Back in the level, hit play. When we touch the green box, we can see the green message appears. Pretty cool. So this is basically collision, but we've only set it up for the green box. We have to set it up for the orange and the yellow one. In Blueprint you can't have this twice, so we're gonna work our way. Hit Ctrl D to duplicate this, and once more. Connect again the target to other component, and instead of green here I'm gonna say orange, and here I'm gonna say red. Alright, if this is false, we're gonna put another branch, duplicate this and connect it with true. I'm gonna put here orange. So now if we didn't collide it with a green box, we're gonna check if we've collided with an orange one. If that is the case, we're gonna print orange to the screen. If that isn't the case, we're gonna check for the red box. So drag another branch, and on the true, print string red. Okay, so this is basically the collision that we're gonna handle. Of course, we're gonna have to replace these print string statements. We're just keeping them for debugging purposes to see if the game is running properly. So hit play. When we collide with the green box, we get green. When we collide to the orange box, we see orange, and when we collide with the red box, we see red. So we know that everything is working just fine. Now we have a problem, and that is we don't really have a lot of control in the air when we jump, and because of that it's very hard to land on platforms. To fix that, you want to go to the player blueprint and click on character movement, search here for air control. I'm gonna put here 0.5, and that just means that when the player is not touching the ground, we're gonna move at half the speed. Alright, when we go back and I try to jump, as you can see, we can completely stop in the air if I want, or I can go to the right or to the left. Basically, we're gonna move in the air at half the speed. Let's also modify the speed. To do that, you want to search again on the character movement component, movement. On the walking, you want to search for max walk speed. This is 6 meters per second. This is currently our walk speed. Gonna set this to around 800. Compile and save. Now we can see we are moving a lot faster, and also the airspeed is much faster, is half of it. That's why Unreal is very convenient. We already have this set up. At this point on, we're just gonna build our level, each color representing something. Now we're actually gonna start building a basic level that consists of green, orange and red boxes. If you want to skip the following time lapse, go to this frame of the video. Okay, so this is enough for now. Let's test it out. You see that this works pretty fine, but none of these orange cubes or red cubes do what they should do. So this orange cube should fluctuate, so it should disappear and reappear at a certain point, and this red one should kill you if you step on it. So how do we do that? The red one is very easy to do. We're just gonna go back into the player BP and we're gonna restart the level. So when you touch the red one, instead of printing that we've touched the red, I'm gonna open level by name. I'm gonna put the name of the current level, which is main level. Put it the same way it appears here. There you go. So let's test that out. When I touch this red cube, we should be back there. There you go. So this works. This orange one should fluctuate. Now to make this fluctuate is a little bit trickier, but we're gonna convert it to a blueprint class. So select it and hit this button. Alright, orange underscore BP. Hit select and there it is. If we search here for tag, we can see is there everything that we've set up here is now there. And I believe this also is. No, we're gonna have to replace these two, but there's not a problem. Alright, so how do we make it fluctuate? Well, it's simple. You want to go into the event graph, and with the empty graph you want to right click and search for event begin play. However, this is not where we're gonna execute our code. You want to right click and search for add custom event. We're gonna call this event trigger orange box. From here you want to delay with around 5 seconds. What does this delay function do? It stops the execution for a certain amount of time. It delays it. Alright, from here we want to get our static mesh component and disable its visibility. To do that, you want to set visibility and leave it to false. Then we also have to disable the collision of it, so set collision enabled, and you want to set no collision. By default it is collision enabled. Alright, we can copy this and paste it right here. Now the visibility is gonna be true and the collision is gonna be collision enabled. Compile, save, but is not gonna do anything unless we call this trigger orange box at the begin. So just search for trigger orange box. There you go. Now we save, go back, and let's look at it. After 5 seconds, it will disappear. Very good. And it will reappear. But that's it. It won't do it again. Why? Because this executes only at the beginning, and when it ends, we're not telling it what it should do. Well, it's very simple. We call it again into infinity. We are not gonna create a loop because Unreal will detect it as an infinite loop and will end the game when it detects that. So we play it again and it disappears. We can walk through that certain path and it reappears again with collision enabled and everything. And if we wait 5 seconds, it will fluctuate again and again. However, those from up there won't, because there's still that cube. So let's delete them and let's duplicate and place them. There you go. Now try to go here, and as you can see, they are enabled and disabled continuously. Now they're not aligned properly, but you got the idea. This is what you should end up with. Now we can disable that message. We can just go here and disable them. Alright, so that was it for today's video. On the next video we're gonna focus more on AI and building an actual level, because this was just for test. Of course you can experience more, you can create more of this, but this was just for test to know that it is possible. And from now on you can find the project down below. You hit the link and download it from Google Drive. Then you just open the .u project file and it should open right in Unreal. Thanks for watching and happy coding.